Adrian Gonzalez at Adelante. I'm unable to take your call at the moment, but if you leave me a detailed message, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much.
Hey Adrian, Ed Rusch here. On the ground here in beautiful Boston, on the shuttle, grabbing my rental car. We'll see you here in a bit. Looking forward to it.
Ed?
Oh, there you are. What you doing?
Went out for a training ride this morning, doing the logistics leaders for type 1 diabetes cure team ride. So
that's coming up soon, isn't it?
just a few weeks away, so definitely want to get the mileage in.
Well, I'm glad we could support you in that. Charity on my team's riding, that's awesome. But who came up with Death Valley, 100 miles of biking in Death Valley?
Well,
that just seems crazy.
I figured if you're going to go, you got to go big, and it's part of the challenge, it's part of the fun. But Ed, it's for a great cause, so thank you very much for your support.
No worries. But speaking of big, you must be ready for a big breakfast. You're burning lots of calories riding that thing, I'm sure.
Starving,
okay.
So I'm ready to go.
Okay, you want to drive or me?
I'll drive.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's go.
Thanks, Adrian. What goes in to training for a 100-mile plus ride in the desert?
Well, you can't duplicate the desert here in Massachusetts.
No.
But you could at least, the key thing is, spending a lot of hours on a bike seat, because ultimately when you're doing basically what's going to be 103 miles, you're going to be on that bike seat for many hours. So I think that's the most important thing from a training standpoint. Is to hours on the seat, basically.
So step one is behind endurance.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Build up the calluses so that by the time the ride comes, you're not feeling anything.
So it sounds a lot, actually, to just take this back to supply chain and logistics leaders. This training up, or this journey to be able to ride 100 miles in the desert in a place called Death Valley, correlates some with supply chain leaders' journey through maturity and evolving their supply chain into more sophisticated, more agile, more enduring type of qualities, so that they have the ability to be resilient and flexible when market events happen. And one of the things that underpins a company's capability to evolve in their supply chain is really having true end-to-end visibility, seeing what's going on from the suppliers through to the customers. Why are we still talking about this, Adrian, when it seems so fundamental?
Part of it is, and what I've come to kind of appreciate and learn, is that it's a moving target, right? I mean, supply chains are continuously evolving and changing. So all the connections that you've made, in terms of getting your supply chain data and information, you're going to have to remake those connections again, right? As your supply chain network changes.
Is there an element of the pain of change and not really understanding then the upside value or opportunity that's left on the table by not adopting greater visibility capabilities outside of a spreadsheet or outside of the ERP itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, one of the things that I always talk about is that years ago, companies can get away with not having, that level of visibility that you just talked about, right? And today, obviously we've seen what's happening on the consumer side, right? And I think Amazon has upped the game for everybody now. So in our personal lives, we've become accustomed to having that greater visibility, and now that's starting to translate into the business world again. And I think that is, moving forward, customer service and the ability to service your customer with that level of insight, provide that level of insight to your customers in the B2B world, is going to become a greater competitive differentiation. And that's why there's such demand for supply chain visibility and understanding how they can, companies can raise the bar on their capabilities.
Cheers, Adrian.
Cheers.
Thanks for meeting me today. It's been great.
Oh, thanks for coming.
So you're going to ride another 55 miles or so this afternoon?
Gosh, no, I'm done. I'm done for today. I've got a big ride coming up tomorrow, so I'm just gonna relax the rest of the day. But you should have brought your bike. You could have gone riding with me this morning.
I thought I had like 12 months to get ready.
Yeah. Well, next year, for sure.
I'll do it. Sounds good. That was a pretty cool little place.
Yeah.
They had a bit of everything. Breakfast, pizza, coffees, teas, lattes.
Yeah, well, it's a
gasoline.
It's a popular refueling station for cyclists. So, after doing, sometimes it's a starting point, and sometimes it's kind of the midway point after doing a 50-mile ride.
And I hear people say, as an industry, collectively, we've spent billions on large-scale, sophisticated ERP implementations across our company. We've been building out a network of point-to-point EDI connections over the last 3 to 4 decades. They've promised me the types of visibility we've been talking about. I'm not seeing them. What's the missing component to their equation?
Well, I think, number one, I think that, from what I hear when I talk to, executives, is a lot of them have finally come to the realization that, ERP is not the platform for supply chain visibility, right? And a lot of them are beginning to recognize that, ERP's got its role, mainly within the 4 walls of the organization, if you will. But what they're gravitating toward is what I've been calling supply chain operating networks, right? Mm-hmm. So I think supply chain operating networks are, fulfilling that role on the business side to enhance visibility, to enhance collaboration, and really bring, we started the conversation talking about, well, why are we still talking about visibility? Yep. I think this is, supply chain operating networks are the foundation to really address some of the limitations that have existed, historically around visibility and collaboration.
Visibility, collaboration, network, ERP. It's been fundamental elements of all discussions around supply chain for a long time. What's around the corner? What should we be looking out for? What are some things that might be considered experimental now that have a real chance of impacting the world?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of buzz today around Bitcoin. Okay. And more specifically blockchain technology, mm-hmm. which is what underpins Bitcoin. But if you look at blockchain technology, it really is, the way I look at it, it could be a complement or a next generation operating system for supply chain operating networks, in terms of the way that works. Certainly there's so much going on today with Internet of Things, a lot of buzz around that. Of course, driverless trucks and drones and 3D printing. Yeah. To me, there's just so much going on right now, particularly on the technology front, mobile, BI, predictive analytics. Mm-hmm. So predictive analytics, another one, and it's truly trying to be as proactive as possible to identify, trends that might be, problematic or that you may need to address, and then being able to, take corrective action on it.
Well, if anything, Adrian, the future sounds incredibly exciting. I mean, there's so much happening and so much to consider. It's a great time to be in supply chain.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the great quotes that I heard was from a young professional a couple of years ago, and she talked about why she got into supply chain logistics. She said, I love this industry because I know every morning I wake up, it's going to be a completely different day. So there's always a new challenge, a new opportunity to tackle. So there's never a dull moment.
So for folks that embrace that mindset, it's a winner to be in supply chain.
Absolutely. I love it.
Awesome. Well, love the discussion. Thanks so much, Adrian. Really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Ed.